Hello, Visionary, and welcome back to our channel. This is Raquel of Raquel and Davidian, Unleash Your Genius. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about diet by design, diet by type. This is a super interesting topic. I resisted this for a very long time. Some of the readings I got in the PHS system weren't correct for me at the time, and I've really had to do a deep investigation on how this stuff works, partly because I've had so many issues around nutrition and diet and food sensitivities, and I have a whole history around that. And so I've had to really dive in and understand this stuff on every level. And so I hope you enjoy this video. I will look forward to seeing you on the inside. Hello, Visionary, and welcome to your training on human design diet. This is my most requested topic as of late, and I just cannot wait to share the intel with you. So above the surface is strategy and inner authority. Most of you probably know how this operates, at least the basics. And if you don't worry. There are some videos we will put in the links below to help you understand the strategy and inner authority of your design. But beneath the surface, there are 4 radical transformations. And these include the PHS, diet, environment, and rave psychology, which is also known as motivation and perspective. The PHS is actually known as determination or diet, and it's how you digest life as well as food. So this is a very interesting topic, and lately it has completely transformed my life. But mind you, I have been in my experiment for quite a while, and I have been really using my strategy and inner authority for a long time. So I just wanted to start with that. Today, we're going to talk about PHS, determination, or digestion, what I'm going to refer to as diet by design. So you really need to know thyself. If you haven't been experimenting with your strategy and inner authority, this might be fun to know about. It's going to be sort of mind candy, but it's not going to serve you as greatly as experimenting with your SNA first. So in other words, it's just like any other spiritual or esoteric knowledge. You first learn about it, you read it, and it's interesting. You might try it on a little bit, but something might happen in your life where you get a deep opportunity to have the aha moment. In that aha moment, it becomes more than a theory. It becomes an experiential truth. And that is the most interesting thing about human design. It is layered, it goes deep, and it takes you into an entirely new way of being a human on this planet. You are deconditioning, you step outside of everything you thought you were, you pull out from the expected behavior, and it's eye-opening. And it goes to the next level when you start talking about the PHS and the 4 radical transformations. And it also pops a whole new superpower into your consciousness, which I will share with you guys as well. So the PHS, the primary health system, is the design, sun, and earth. So you'll see it here. It's over on the design, the right-hand side. And it's the color, and this one here is the tone. And the arrows do have an impact on how we read this digestion. So the arrows, which are also known as variable, so you'll see the arrows here. They're either going to be pointing to the right. In this example, it's right for the digestion, it's right for the environment, or passive. It's left for the personality or the motivation, which is more active, it's more strategic. And then here it's right for perspective, which is also has to do with future oriented, where the left is past oriented. So the variables impact each one of these areas. Now, before I go any deeper into the digestion, I'd like to talk about the projector, the manifestor reflector. So those beings without sacral energy, compared to the generator and manifesting generator in regards to food and digestion. Now, I'm going to speak really from my own experience. I am a projector, and projectors do not have the fuel to digest food in the same way as a generator and manifesting generator. Without that sacral energy, it's much harder to take a whole plate of food, or to go to a buffet, or to sit down and chow out at Thanksgiving. It's just much harder for the projector. And this has taken me years to truly understand. Well, obviously, I didn't know most of my life as a projector that I couldn't eat the same as a generator. And I was obviously conditioned to believe that I could. And obviously, many of the holidays and everywhere you go with family and friends, it's an American tradition to sit down with huge plates of food, and it's a lot, even though it's not really healthy for anyone, it's a lot harder and a lot more unhealthy for those beings without the sacral fuel. So the projectors, the manifestors, and the reflectors. And I'm speaking primarily from my own personal experience with this. And I definitely recommend for anybody who has an undefined sacral to experiment with just eating less and having, smaller portions that will be easier to digest. Now, with that said, the digestion is this area on the chart, and it has to do with how we take in and digest life. But it is also very much about how we eat and how we digest food. So the determination, which is also called digestion, you have these little symbols here, and this is the color and this is the tone. And the color is going to be 1 through 6 here. And by the way, when it comes to your color and your tone, the tone is not fully awakened. It doesn't pop open. The superpower doesn't emerge until you actually eat properly. And so this is interesting. As you begin to experiment with your digestion, then you can start to see if that tone is actually going to come into its full power. So in this particular chart, the tone is 5, which is feeling. So the idea here is that the feeling tonality of eating, the feeling of a room, the power of sensuality, this sense of knowing through the cells and the body, and just that general sense of superpower of feeling comes alive when the 6 is fully activated, meaning this person eats correctly based on their color. The determination, the digestion here, the arrow is going to be whether the diet is active or passive, as I mentioned. It plays a role on the color. So each color will either have a active or passive expression. Each color will have either a right arrow or a left arrow, and it changes the color pretty dramatically. So I want you to remember, and this is super important, if this is not correct for you, your inner authority will give you a hard no. Okay. Or if you're emotional, I'll give you kind of a soft no, or a 70% no. But you do have to follow your inner authority first. So do not listen to anyone telling you what to do. So if this becomes a list of here's how you eat, do this, do that, and you start doing it, your body's like, this doesn't feel right for a sacral, then it's not correct for you to be following this particular diet. Now, the reason why this is so important is not to say whether digestion or determination in human design works or doesn't work. It just means that at different times of our lives, we're available and ready for this level of transformation. Remember, I told you this is beneath the surface. And so I've known about my diet for years. I've known the basics. And my first reading, they said, you got to eat with the lights out. And this did not ring true to me. They said you could eat whatever you want. They didn't tell me about being a projector, about how projectors need smaller portions. They didn't say anything about this. And whoever was giving me the reading just had sort of an intellectual understanding and told me what to do. And my spleen was like, no. And also, I've had different mentors telling me that these 4 radical transformations don't mean anything and it's just all BS. And so I had sort of a resistance to it. And then all of a sudden, my spleen just went, yes, it's time. And I went into a full deep dive into the intel, and a world cracked open, a whole new power opened in my body as I began to explore this on a deeper level. And I don't know if it's because it was past my 7 years of following my strategy and inner authority. I don't know if it was because my body needed a shift, or I was going through, different types of ups and downs in my hormones, or what was going on, but my body was ready for an entirely new way of operating with my digestion. And all of a sudden, I went through a complete metamorphosis. I had not been able to lose any weight because, I thought it was just because I was getting older and whatever. Even after doing long cleanses, 10-day cleanses, 10-day juice cleanses, I would lose weight. But then the next day, I just immediately gained the weight back. And now looking back on this, I really do believe that it was leading me to this moment where I gave up all of the transference of trying to figure out the food. I gave up all of the details, and I went into the truth of my experiment of digestion, determination, and the 4 radical transformation. And what I mean by transference is that whatever your diet digestion is, you're going to probably be conditioned to do the opposite, conditioned to live completely opposite of your diet. And I did. And so the more opposite I was, the more experiences I had, the more negative experiences I had with my body. And until one day, it just kind of cracked open for me, and I understood this was right. So there was no way that I could rush it. It's just like a apple falling from the tree. It's not ripe until it's ripe. So, and there's no point in forcing it. So in other words, if this does not feel correct for you, then don't do it. So just like the lines, there are 6 different colors, and each color is a different digestive system. Each digestive system varies based on the variable being left or right, as I explained earlier. So we have the color 1, which is appetite. It's hunter, consecutive, and it's either going to be left active or right passive. Then we have color 2, which is taste, gatherer, open, or taste, gatherer, closed, whether it's left active or right passive. So it's either open or closed based on the direction of the arrow. And then we have the 3rd color, which is thirst, the transformer, which is either going to be hot if it's left or cold if it's right. And then we have touch, the determiner, which is the calm eating, which is either the left arrow, or color 4, which is the right arrow, which would be nervous eater. Then we have sound, which is the listener, and it's either going to be high if it's left or low if it's right, passive. And then we have the line 6, which is all about light and light frequency. This is either going to be the left, which is direct, or the right, which is indirect. So let me just show you quickly where you're going to find this on your chart. So you'll see here design, sun and earth over here, and then you have the color and the tone. So this is color 4 and tone 5. So in this particular chart, you can also see here where it says on the right hand side where it says determination. So that means the color 4, which is nervous, because it's the arrow to the right. So color 4, right arrow, nervous eating. Basically, this one is the calm environments are never really good for this particular person. The whole sit down and eat at the table and don't make any noise and be calm. And these are the nervous eaters. And then you'll notice here in cognition, this is the tone 5 here, which is feeling. So this is where we're going to see it in the chart. And the feeling really pops open when they allow themselves to be nervous eaters, not eat at the table, to walk around, to enjoy food with other people and have more of a rambunctious dinner table or rambunctious eating environment. And then there's a deeper level of feeling around the food, feeling in the body that starts to pop open as they eat correctly, as opposed to if they're trying to, sit calmly at the dinner table, they may actually have a very uncomfortable feeling, a lot of discomfort when trying to be forced into a particular calm dinner table. So we have the lower or the upper. So 1, 2, and 3 are lower, and 4, 5, and 6 are upper. So this is another area that we were just talking about in the Facebook group. And if you'd like to join us, it's Spiritualized Entrepreneurs Awakening to Their Next Level. And we just kind of go deeper and talk about these things in our Facebook group. And we were talking about the fact that I was doing a cleanse. This came about also because of my study here with the PHS. And I've always felt that way. It's always been really good for my body to fast and to do cleansing. And so that's always been really, really true for me. Now, these are also based on sort of this primitive step-by-step of human evolution. And not to say that, if you have a color 1, you're, more primitive. It just means that your digestion operates more closely to a primitive hunter-gatherer symbolic way of digesting. So for the 1, it's really about a very rigid, very primitive way of eating. So color 1 and 2 are primitive and rigid. They're probably the hardest diets to follow. The 3 and 4 are energetic and manipulative. And then when we move into 5 and 6, it's sensitive, selective, which basically means it's more based on the circumstances, the situations in which you're going to be eating. So the sound is more about being in a loud, noisy, or quiet. And the light, the direct, the 6, the light, eating during the day and not at night. The indirect is about eating at night and not during the day. Sensitive, selective, which basically means it's all about your environment and the environment with which you eat. And so again, someone told me this, like, you could eat whatever you want. For me, I am indirect, which basically means, when I first heard about it, was, you got to eat in the dark. And that doesn't really explain the intensity of light, which has to do with light frequency, which has to do with the most evolved way of eating, and has to do with not just when you eat, but how you operate in your life. And it's so fascinating with this particular one because, I was digging and digging as an investigator into this. And my first series of interviews, I heard Raw talk about this one, and he didn't give a lot of details, so I had to dig more. And later I heard him giving a lecture, and he said that those people, color 6 indirect, are also called nocturnals. And these people should stay up all night. These people should change their whole lives to sleep all day and take the night shift. And he said this in a lecture, and I thought, holy moly, I have never heard that before. And it shook me to my core because I'm always forcing myself to go to bed early, as they say for projectors, get in bed early. So I'd go to bed early and try and bluff off the generator fuel, but I couldn't fall asleep, and I'd be up and up and up and up. And I just was antsy. I couldn't fall asleep. So I would just get up and start writing and do whatever I need to do and just allow it to be. But then I'd force myself to get up early so that I could switch my routine, and felt so guilty sleeping in, and I shouldn't sleep in. And I had all this guilt around it. And this has been my entire life. I felt guilty sleeping in. Finally just experimented with it and allowed myself to sleep in as long as I wanted. And I felt so freaking amazing. My entire life changed. My business exploded because I had so much more energy. Yeah, I started later, but I had energy throughout the entire night, and I felt alive and excited at night, and I couldn't wait to study, and I couldn't wait to, learn more things at night. And so it changed my life on such an extreme level when I really allowed myself to experiment with this. Now, I'm going to be going through each one of these in our monthly community calls. Right now, we're doing motivation, which I'll post a video to that class as well. Our first class, I will post a link here that you can listen to it. But I'm going to be going through each one of these more deeply in our monthly community calls. And we're starting, like I said, with motivation, and then we're going to go into going a little bit deeper into this area as well, because I know everyone really wants me to go into their particular color, and then also the tone, their tone. And yes, this is super fascinating stuff, and I'd like to invite you into the community calls if you're curious and interested, and I will put a link in the description below. When it comes to the indirect, which is the color 6 with the right passive arrow, just to complete this thought, it's really hard to change your entire life around and to switch everything upside down. I'm not really telling you to do this. I'm just saying perhaps experiment with it a little bit. And for me, because the 4, 5, and 6, I realized that it was good for me to cleanse and fast. I hadn't been fasting in a very long time because my body felt so off. What I realized as I've been experimenting with this is when I got hungry, I would eat at night. If you've been watching any of the keto videos out there, anything on intermittent fasting, they tell you not to eat after 7 p.m. So I had been doing that for maybe a year. I've been following someone's advice for that as I'm trying to balance out all of my hormones. They said not to eat after 7 p.m. And so I think that caused a lot of pain in my body and a lot more intensity around how food was digesting. So I started doing more of fasting and cleansing. And if I got hungry, I would eat vegetables and fruits or eat at night smaller portions. And my body did respond. Everything was digesting more peacefully, and eating at like 1 in the morning and midnight, and things that I just would never have allowed myself to do. And things really shifted for me. So if you're indirect 6, experiment with that and let me know your thoughts. So, like I said, I will go through the rest of them, and they're super interesting and well worth the experiment. So, how you feed the body, how you digest life, this is the first step in the radical transformation. It's the sun-earth design determination. And then once you digest life properly, and once you allow this digestion in, you pop into the superpower of your tone. Now, this brain system, and this is a quote from Ra, that we see in the sun, earth, what we're dealing with here is something that's called determination. Determination is about the potential that everybody has to differentiate by having their specific diet, and a specific diet that has nothing to do with food. One of the first things to recognize about uniqueness is that uniqueness is not about a personality. It isn't. Uniqueness is something that goes very, very deep within us. So each one of these areas has their own particular way of eating. Just let me know which one you are in the comments below. The human design diet, it's not about keto, vegan, or any type of diet or fad out there. And I'm not telling you what to do. If this isn't something the inner authority is giving you the absolute 100% yes on, then it is not right for you. If you can feel it, if you experiment with it and your superpowers turn on, then it's for you. So the power of the tone turns on when you digest correctly. Diet and environment, these are all homogenized as well as our thought. So think about that. We are homogenized in school to think alike, to repeat back, to be parrots. We are homogenized in our homes in the suburbs. All the homes look exactly the same. You can't even paint them different colors in certain areas, and that's called homogenization. But we're not designed to be homogenized. We are designed to be unique. And we're also not designed to be sick, okay? The tone underneath, that tone that creates whether we're going to have leftness or rightness, those 6 tones are incredibly important to us because that's what we're all about. The tone represents cognition. It is our cognitive architecture. It is the tone that gives us that special something that we call our inherent intelligence. So you're going to see this under cognition, where on your advanced chart, you'll see cognition. And for those of you who don't have your advanced chart, we do give it to you for free when you join our monthly community calls. I'm going to make a quick note about your actual diet and food sensitivities and carbs and fats and all of the nutritional aspects of our diet. This is just my personal opinion from someone who studied nutrition for a really long time. I really think that it's important to experiment with this stuff, but to also be somewhat balanced and intelligent about what you eat. So the advice I got around eating whatever I wanted at night, I thought it was just really horrible advice because people will really take that to heart. Oh, I can eat whatever I want. And then, they're eating things that they may have sensitivities to. Their body may react poorly. What you know about yourself, how your body responds to certain foods, if you are sensitive to carbs, or some diets feel better than others. I always perform best when I eat close to raw, and that's just my own personal body has felt that way. And so, yes, I've noticed that at night sometimes when I will splurge on something, but at midnight or late at night, it doesn't affect me in the same way as if I woke up and ate a pancake breakfast or something really horrible that I would have done very rarely. But those types of breakfasts have always been so horrible for me. But now looking at my diet, it makes sense that I'm supposed to eat at night and not during the day, but I still wouldn't spend my night eating ice cream. So what I'm trying to say is be smart with your nutrition, especially right now in this time when we really need to make sure we have a strong immune system given the coronavirus situation. So pay attention to those things that give you a strong immune system while you are experimenting with this stuff. So we're not designed to be sick. And I had mentioned this just a moment ago, but here's a great quote from Ra about this. And, this is so key. And this is a huge spiritual concept as well. Science of mind. Around any type of mysticism, spiritual awakening, we know that when we vibrate at certain frequencies, we move more into light and less into matter. And in the light, we have a higher frequency that aligns with wellness, with the frequency of health and wealth. And so it's interesting when we follow our design, it just helps us to more acutely vibrate at the proper frequency for our unique vehicles. And I love merging the spiritual with the human design. And this is such a spiritual quote by Ra. The longer you are in incorrect environment, the more deterioration will take place. And that deterioration isn't just simply the body breaks down and there's disease. It's all kinds of things that simply hamper the vehicle from operating correctly. One of the biggest issues in the 9-centered life is that we're not designed to be sick. I don't use the word healing. I use the word alignment. We're not designed to be sick. We're not designed to be sick creatures. We're not. The moment we're operating correctly, this is not something that is part of us. It isn't. And this is a great quote by Ra Uru, and I'm going to leave it here for today. And like I said, we will go deeper into each one of these colors and each one of these tones. Thank you so much for being part of our community, for being part of our channel. Please let us know what color you are, what experiment you've had with your diet, with your digestion. In the comments below. We love hearing from you, and we love taking your suggestions for other videos. If you've liked and enjoyed this video, give it a like. It really helps the algorithms. If this is something that other people who maybe struggle with food and struggle with any type of issues around health or body image or anything like this, they may really benefit from this video. So please share with them. If you want to be notified of our Facebook Lives, then ring the bell. And don't forget to subscribe. We'd love to have you part of our community. Thanks again. I hope you enjoy this video. Be brilliant, be gorgeous, and unleash your genius.